Welcome to this week's virtual Drasha. This week we had the incredible privilege, overwhelming and beautiful privilege, to read Parshas Bereishis and to begin a new cycle of Kriyas Torah. I always find when we come to Parshas Bereishis a feeling of hope, of optimism. It's a new year, a new beginning, untold possibilities, a parsha that speaks about the dynamic of creation. And of course, we ourselves are filled with a sense and an urgency about what it is that we are going to create in the year ahead. You know, the Mefarshim are all intrigued by the same idea, which is, at the end of the day, no one really understands the Genesis narrative. No one really understands the story. What does it mean that Hashem created Yesh Ma'ayin, something from nothing? Again, we could create something from something. I can make something big into something small to something big, but something from nothing, can't understand it. What does it mean that Hashem created in 6 days? 6 days, 24-hour days, 1,000,000 years, 1,000,000,000 years. So many things we don't understand about the creation story. So if you don't understand it, then why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu convey it to us? Rashi asks this first question, and Rashi says the Torah is a book of laws. So why not begin from Chumash Shmos, the first mitzvah, HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem? This month, the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh, sanctification of the new moon, sanctification of the new month, that's mitzvah number one. Start with that. Or even if you want to go back in Bereishis, okay, Hashem says to Adam, Peru Uravu, be fruitful and multiply. Hashem tells Avram Avinu later on, Bris Milah. Start from the mitzvahs. Why start with a narrative that no one truly comprehends? And the Mefarshim give a myriad of different answers, but the truth is on the most basic level, because Hashem is teaching us there is a first mitzvah. The first mitzvah in the Torah, the first commandment, it may not be reckoned as one of the 613. It may not appear in the minyan mitzvahs, in the counting of mitzvahs of the Rambam, of the Ramban, of Reb Sajigon, or any other mitzvah codifiers. But the first mitzvah Hashem gives us is the mitzvah to create a world, is a mitzvah to create something, to make something of our life. We come into this world, and while it's true, we do not ask to be born. We do not ask, the neshama doesn't ask to come down from Shamayim and be encased in a guf, encased in a body, waging a 120-year struggle between body and soul. The neshama doesn't ask for it. No one asks for it. But once we're here, the simple mandate and mitzvah of the human condition is make a world. Create something. Create a meaningful life. Create a meaningful personality. Create a spiritual persona. Create a world for yourself. And once you create a world for yourself, create a world for your family. Create a world for your community. Help create a world for mankind. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I think, begins with this simple narrative that no one understands. Because in this narrative, which no one really comprehends the details, is the first and primary mitzvah of the human condition. Create a world for yourself. But how do we do that? How do we create a world for ourselves? The Rebbe Shalom is the master creator, right? He creates, and he's the ongoing creator, not a historical creator, but a contemporary creator as well. HaMechadish betuvo b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereishis. Hashem renews and creates nature every moment. So God, the master creator, he knows how to create. How do we create? How do we create a world? And I'll share with you two insights. It struck me on Simchas Torah. I had the great zichus to be up by the Torah for the end of Parshas V'zos Habrach, the end of Chumash Devarim, beginning of Bereishis, and the juxtaposition really struck me. That here in V'zos Habracha we read the overwhelming phrase Vayamas Sham Moshe Eved Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu dies. He dies at the end of V'zos Habracha, and the truth is, it's startling. And no matter how many times we read it, we feel a sense of loss. We feel a gaping hole. We feel like I've just lost my leader. I've just lost my father. I've just lost my shepherd. I've just lost my Rebbe, my Rebbe. I've just lost someone who I need so badly in life. And there's a feeling of sadness. And then literally 1 minute later, Bereishis bara Elokim et hashamayim v'ha'aretz. Literally, a minute later, we're reading about creation. And herein lies the secret to successful world building. That even after you encounter loss, and even after you encounter trials and tribulations and difficulty and tragedy, get back up and build something new. The Medrash relates that the Ribono Shel Olam built and destroyed tens of thousands of worlds before he got to ours. Now the Ribono Shel Olam doesn't have a margin of error. Kodesh Baruch Hu can get everything right on the first time. So if the God who is perfect, Hatzur Tamim Pa'alo, why do you have to create tens of thousands of worlds in order to create ours? Because Kodesh Baruch Hu was modeling for us that at the end of the day, it takes a lot of effort to create. And more often than not, you don't get it right the first time. You create, and then you realize either what you created is not good, or sometimes that which you create simply explodes, implodes, falls apart. So what do you do in those moments? Those are Vayamas Sham Moshe moments. Moments of loss, moments of sadness, moments of tragedy. And when I say tragedy, I don't mean like tragedy, death. I mean, it could be tragedy. I mean, just personal tragedy. Moments of just personalistic setback. What do you do in those moments of Vayamas Sham Moshe when you feel like the rug's just been pulled out from under you and all of the traction you thought you had, all the positivity you thought you had is no longer there? And the answer is, Bereishis bar lakimes Hashem v'asa'aretz. You see, the first mitzvah of building a world doesn't occur in a vacuum. The first mitzvah of Bereishis, the first time I'm introduced to this mandate to build a world, it comes immediately on the heels of Vayamas Sham Moshe. Because Kodesh Baruch Hu is telling us successful world building requires summoning up the life stamina to get back up, dust myself off, and try to do whatever I can to push forward past adversity. That's what it takes to build a world. You know, on Hoshana Rabbah, I said over in the meeting that I was davening in, an incredible idea that I saw by the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. And the Baal Shem Tov points out something fascinating. He says, in general, over Sukkos, we're doing these hakafas. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of like separation anxiety from Yom Tiv. So I hope you'll bear with me for one more Yom Tiv vart. So we go ahead and we circle the bima 7 times. Now, of course, it's to remember that which was done. Hoshana Rabbah, we do it 7 times. The rest of Sukkos 1 time. And of course, the concept of circling the bima is to recreate and to remember that which was done in the Beis HaMikdash. And the Rebbe Baal Shem Tov says, but like, what's the musar? Like, what am I supposed to take from it? What's the message? And the Rebbe says something so beautiful on a simple level. The idea of the Hoshanas and ultimately the Hakafas on Simchas Torah is that you have to move yourself forward in life. Move. Don't stay in place. Keep moving. Keep walking. Keep growing. There's only one problem. I'm walking in a circle. So ask the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh if the whole musar of the Hoshanas and the Hakafas is to go ahead and move myself forward, then at the end of the day, shouldn't I really go ahead and be moving forward in a linear fashion, moving myself from point A to point B, and not just simply remaining in place? And the Rebbe says something so beautiful. The Rebbe says sometimes in life, you find yourself traveling and you're walking in circles. I'm walking in circles. I start out, I have all the best intentions, but I just seemingly end up right where I began. And in those moments, when we find ourselves walking in life circles, we feel like failures because I haven't advanced myself. And Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says there's nothing further from the truth. Successful living is putting one foot in front of the other and just moving yourself forward. And even if you happen to go ahead and wind up in the same place, you tried. And that's all that Kodesh Baruch Hu asks of us, is to put one foot in front of the other and try to move myself forward. I ended up exactly where I started? Okay. Even HaKadosh Baruch Hu created tens of thousands of worlds before he, quote unquote, got it right. To model for us this same idea. Sometimes you end up right where you started, but at least you had the courage to take the journey. And this is how we build our world. Number one, to go ahead and find the courage to get back up after Vayamas Moshe moments. After moments of loss, adversity, difficulty, and challenge. Don't give up, don't give in. Right after Vayamas Sham Moshe, Bereishis bara, find the courage to create. And number 2, even if you find yourself going around in life circles, sometimes we come to the beginning of a year and deep down I think to myself, whatever, Okay, yeah, all the great talk about New Year. How many New Years have I had? How many New Years has it been? How many times have I done the Hakafas? How many times have I done the Hoshanas? How much of my life have I been walking around in circles? And dear friends, even if you've been walking around in circles, at least you've been walking. Better to make a Hakafa, better to make a Hoshana, and to wind up right where you started than to make no movement at all. And so it turns out that this narrative that, so to speak, no one understands, the Genesis narrative that no one could really wrap their head around in terms of the details, gives us the most important mission and mandate that we have as Jews, that we have as human beings. Create something beautiful. Create a life for yourself. Get back up and create. Even if you've been walking in circles, keep walking one foot in front of the other, and do whatever is within your power to find your own Bereishis bara moment. May you be zochem Eretz Hashem to make this a year of beautiful, magnificent, and overwhelming creation. May this be a year where we find the courage to do the things we've spoken about doing, dreamt about doing. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu give us the strength and the siyata d'shmaya to make it all happen. Wishing everyone a good and Erev Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.